This is going to be a learning lesson today for my younger folks, for my older folks. I'm going to need you to make sure to hold off on any political affirmations. What I'm about to say is not political. This is purely business. What's going on, everybody? It's Super Robot Ed, and we need to talk about Hasbro. And a lot of my YouTubers have been reporting on Hasbro as this very favorable company. And you'd think that Hasbro is going to, I guess, maybe, I don't know, send you toys and give you accolades. The answer to the question is no. Hasbro is a failing company. It's a sinking ship. It's a slow but steady sinking ship. Sometimes the water gets out the boat, but then the water comes right back in. And with that being said, if you are a collector, you know how we are given inferior stuff because this certain line of investors who probably control the budget is like, nah, we don't want that no more because they don't want to manufacture toys anymore. They hired the core investors hired Chris Cox to do their bidding, and this is their bidding. This is not Hasbro. Hasbro wants to sink itself to a certain level. Hasbro wants to get rid of manufacturing, and it's coming. And the designers know it. All of the people in the company know it. The downsizing of the company every day, and they have to report. And that's why they want to move from Rhode Island, because Rhode Island has a very strict law about employment and notice. And you have to give a notice that you're laying off employees, and you only can lay off a certain percentage. This is why they're leaving Providence, Rhode Island, which is where my father's from, and I've been to Providence plenty of times, and sending themselves over to Massachusetts, the next state over, or 2 states over in Boston, up in the New England states. I'm thinking this is the second line investors because this is a class action lawsuit. This is mostly probably people who probably got maybe, you got a few dollars in there, I mean, if you go inside of Ollie's and you see across the board, there's Marvel toys, there's stuff from movies, IP, Dungeons and Dragons, Transformers. The liquidation is one thing when hey, we had a little bit of leftover stock, maybe we had some extra that the stores wouldn't buy, and we sent them to Ollie's. That was one thing. I believe like during the 2015s and 2016, 2017, you could walk in Ollie's and get like Overlord. Overlord, the IDW version was there. You could got him for like $20. When he was a leader class, and he was $49.99. There were plenty of toys that showed up there, but it wasn't like, oh, we had this big giant stock. But right after 2018, 2019, when we got to the pandemic, and after the pandemic with the wick-whack stock thing going on, Ollie's just became basically another toy store. Walked into Ollie's like, my God, there's like all this stuff here. And it's weird to see it like that, where you see tons of mainline merchandise. Not, we're not talking about small amounts. We're talking large amounts. And basically what the crux of this lawsuit is that Hasbro was lying about how much stock they had and how much they produced. And, with shovelware, you can get very, what I call shovelware, like the TF1 stuff, like the mask and, non-transforming Transformers, not the blokies and stuff, because, they're niche. Yeah, they are. But I'm talking about like when you walk in the store and you see like, the one-step changers and this and that nobody really buys. They wind up at Ollie's for $2, yeah. But they were $5 at Target and $5 at Walmart because nobody wants those things. Nobody wants to buy those things. I'm keep telling y'all this time and time again. If it ain't the Transformers that people ain't going to buy. And then also you got to remember they're Marvel. There's Power Rangers. Like, look at the Lightning collection, how horrible that was and how painful that was to actually see. Like, it was bad. And of course, Hasbro just fudged the IP. And I can talk about that now because I am a Super Sentai, I know a lot about Super Sentai and I know a lot about Power Rangers. I know a lot about the toys, mainly the Zords. I have a pretty much extensive knowledge of these things. And I own a slew of Super Sentai toys. I just don't do reviews on them too much, just for the fact that my audience doesn't really know a lot about Sentai because Power Rangers itself is dead in the water here in the States. With that being said, I walked into Ollie's in the past probably 9 years and seen it really start to get even bigger and bigger with the amount of liquidated stock coming from Hasbro. And that's all of their lines across the board. And because of that, these investors that are probably not in, the heavy hitter investors they're probably seeing that they're not getting a very good return, and they're probably going shopping the damn sales and going into Ollie's and like, oh, what the heck's going on here? I thought they had toys. And there's so much proof of that. That's why I got a little miffed, because if you go to my Transformers UK video, what do you see inside that store? That store looks like a nicely neat Ollie's. There are no Transformers in there. I've heard some people say, well, I saw it. You did not. Toys R Us put his video up. I didn't see any mainline toys in there. And I don't care for Blokies. I don't care for any non-transforming Transformers. And I don't care for Robeson. I want to walk in the store. You say it's Transformers. I want to see Transformers mainline. Because it's mainline, man. You don't walk in a Gundam Tokyo-based store and see a whole bunch of nonsense and no Gundam model kits. GMK, if you know, you know. I also do Gunpla. I don't talk about it. If I go into Gunpla, I would leave you in the dust. Because I don't even buy Gundam anymore, because I don't really like what they're putting out lately unless it's UC Timeline. Just like I'm a G1 snob, I'm a UC Timeline snob. Look it up. Anyway, the whole thing is a travesty, because you have seen it right now in 2024, time after time after time after time. Oh my gosh, this was at Ollie's for like $2. This was here for X amount of dollars. This was there for X amount of dollars. This was, it goes on and on and on. So these investors are looking at themselves like, well, if this is the case and they were misrepresenting what their stock was, what their, how much they produced was and where it goes was, and they know that if they produce too much stock and it sells at pennies on the dollar, these certain investors aren't going to make their money, because they're not the core investors that are, basically pushing the company into the direction of being an IP rights holder. That's your core investors who got the big money. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones putting in billions of dollars and saying, hey, we need a return. And Hasbro is going to cater to them way before they cater to the ones that may have 2 stocks, 5 stocks, 10 stocks. Now here comes Elon Musk, because, hey, he's pretty much stated himself as being a right-wing person. I don't really care, because left wing or right wing, the bird can't fly without 2 wings. And let me tell you something, Democrats and Republicans go to the same bar. Democrats and Republicans all get approached by the lobbyists, and they all have taken money. Whether it be Mitch McConnell, whether it be Nancy Pelosi, they're millionaires with a salary that I think they're now like, what, $250,000, $247,000 a year, which they call a living wage, and they get all this stuff. So that's why I don't take sides, because at the end of the day, I'm what you call a taxpayer, because, I have a decent salary, and I'm going to go into my salary, and then also I do YouTube, and then I do other things. So at the end of the day, man, I got to pay taxes, dodge the tax. Man, you don't know how hard it is, man. I hate that. I hate the tax bill. It's the worst thing in my life, because I'll never get money back. Trust me on that. You know what I'm saying? So look at me, I know some of y'all get your little racist feelings, but I promise you, man, I don't even like to file a tax return, because I know I'm going to have to pay. Okay. And that's with kids. Well, I still got 2 kids left, and that are in school, and I got 2 grown kids. I can't even use them on my taxes anymore. But anyway, Elon Musk says, hey, I'm tired of this mess. I want to buy Hasbro. Now, I know a lot of people are like, Hasbro, if Elon Musk buys Hasbro, they're not going to have any Transformers. And what's going to happen to my Transformers? You don't understand. Oh my God, Elon Musk. You know what? I hope he does. Because right now, Hasbro is basically saying F you, but yet you still want to sit there and believe in Hasbro. Hasbro has stated in their own way that, hey, this is going to happen. Transformers, one of their franchises that they depend on, has failed. 2 movies have failed. Rise of the Beast did okay, but it's not a flop, but it didn't do better than Bumblebee, because they went back to Bayverse type explosions. And I'm just using this as an example, because I'm not going to talk about TF1 as a great movie. If it's a great movie, that's great, but nobody watched it, therefore it's a flop. You could call it great. You could say, I need to watch it 1,000,000 times. It's not going to change what happened. Grow up. And for you older people that don't want to grow up some more. Because if Elon Musk buys Hasbro, what's really going to happen? Well, he bought Twitter. It's his company. See, this is the problem with people. You don't have money. You don't understand what it was like to really own something. And no one really owns anything, because we give up all of our, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, because I got to teach you secrets and don't have time for that. But let me explain. What is Hasbro doing that's so great? Okay, we are getting toys that are always hollow. They're re-releasing. I mean, Fortress Maximus to me, I'm not gonna go into details. I'm gonna save a lot of it for the review. But that's one example of BS that I hate, because basically we have an inferior figure. Why? Because it lacks the modernization and it's too big to be still not able to stand up on his own, and the leg ratchets are weird and the toy is loose here. I mean, it's too big for that. When you pick up Scorponok, Earthrise Scorponok compared to Titan's Return Fortress Maximus, it's not even close. Now, there's some stuff about him and Dungeons and Dragons and everything like that. And me, myself, I'm not really a Dungeons and Dragons person. I know it's a big IP. I know about it because I have friends who've been playing since the 80s. But, I mean, I never got into it. The closest I might have gotten probably really was playing like, we used to play Battletech, when they used to have in the Robotech designs. That was like years ago when I used to play and, having little pieces and stuff like that. But I haven't played that since like 87 or 88 or something like that. And there were very few people that even knew what Battletech was over, so yeah, it was a friend of mine, an old Battletech game. We were playing it. Role-playing game. We were playing it. So yeah, whatever. But this right here, people like, well, Elon Musk is probably a Gen X. He's Gen X. You know what I'm saying? And Gen X knows who Dungeons and Dragons is. I used to love that cartoon. But he's got, if he bought Hasbro right now, what would happen to what? I mean, we don't know what would happen. It wouldn't matter if he bought Hasbro at this point, because Hasbro doesn't want to be the Hasbro that it was. This is and I want to drill this in your head over and over again. This is not Chris Cox coming in and doing this. This is the investors hiring Chris Cox to do their bidding. Let me say this one more time. It was not Chris Cox that came in and made the changes. It was the investors that hired Chris Cox to make the changes, because that's what they want. Being an IP rights holder would basically be balls to the walls for those mainline investors, because it's going to price out many of the smaller investors, because those returns, they probably don't trickle down like they do with sales and things like that. And think about it, they'll be lean. They won't have to spend a lot of money. And in a way, they know that. The investors are looking to basically make money in their sleep. For those of us that are lucky on YouTube, you know how that goes. You have certain videos that people are going to watch over and over because the topic is, it's not a algorithm topic. It's more like, oh man, I would love to know how many Optimus Primes there were in G1, how many Megatrons in their G1. Like other people are talking about the lore. Those things, they're timeless videos in a sense. So in a way, people will repeatedly watch those videos, and you'll wake up and look at your little YouTube thing and say, oh man, I went up. Whether it be, and I'll say this, whether it be $2, $20, $100, any money you make while you're not having to do any work is a good thing. So making money while you sleep, and shout out to all you YouTubers, even the ones that suck, that are making money in your sleep, because hey, it's a beautiful thing. I love it. But Elon buying Hasbro wouldn't be any better than what Hasbro already is, because Hasbro, again, wants to not do this anymore. They just don't want to do this anymore. And when you're deceptive about how much stock you have, how much you've produced, that causes a lot of people on the lower spectrum to, because hey, when that payout starts, it starts from the top. It's trickle down economics in a corporation. I work for one, and I'm in management. I'm a team lead in the department that handles the entire company. Like, we're region dependent. If you know who I work for. If you don't, I ain't telling you. But the bottom line is, we're region dependent. If you're in North Carolina, you handle North Carolina and South Carolina. If you're in Florida, you handle Florida. If you're in the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana area, you handle them as such. And even matter of fact, Midwest is not, the Midwest is handled that way. That's the Midwest. I handle the entire company. I'm a team lead. So I do a lot of stuff. I understand business very well. It's very cut and dry. It don't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, but with Trump coming in office, we're going back to conservative values, which is more on the business side of things. It's very it's business, man. It can get lean, but it can get lean under Democrats. I mean, I don't think we did well under. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Me personally, I am a centrist, and I will stay a centrist. But yes, I will also look at things objectively and say, hey, y'all are fucking up. And let's just face it, the Democrats fucked up. So a lot of people are afraid because they instilled fear in you, meanwhile telling you about Elon Musk as being this bad guy when he's just a guy with a bunch of money who could do what he wants and you can't, and you don't understand that. So if he goes out and buys Hasbro, what is going to happen? Ask yourself that question. It's the same thing that happened when Trump took office in 2016. Oh my God, we're going to die. What happened? We had lower gas prices. But anyway, I mean, if you like to put the good gas in your car, boy, it's a beautiful time. No wonder my car lasts a lot longer than it did. What I'm trying to tell you is it might be better because right now Hasbro does not want to. And if they don't want to make toys anymore, why should they? If they want to become an IP rights holder, that means they're not making toys. That means you're not going to be able to go to the shelves after a while and buy Transformers. It's going to be like 93. In the early 90s, man, a G1 Optimus Prime, woo! But you weren't there to know that, most of you. But all I'm saying is listen, Hasbro did this to themselves. There is nothing you can do. Being pro Hasbro is stupid because Hasbro wants this to happen. They want this to happen. And not Elon Musk. Because Elon Musk coming in and buying the company, he wants to buy MSNBC. People got to sell it to him first. I mean, Twitter was probably for sale. I mean, you don't know that. You don't know anything. Most of us don't know anything. I say that to myself included. I'm just, more objective to things. Just look, hey, look, it's money to be made. And that's the bottom line. And if you don't understand that, keep trying to pick sides and just, sounding like a, one trick pony or one note, person. But I guarantee you, there's so many layers to this. But the main layer is Hasbro does not want to. And when the companies say, hey, look, I don't want to. That's just the way it is. That's how it's going to be. And Elon Musk buying Hasbro would be a very weird thing. Oh, what would happen to Transformers? Who knows? There's other lines too. But at this point, I ain't worried about it. Let things cook as they are. We'll continue to see and keep the trends and see how it goes. But this whole thing with the Dungeons and Dragons and, Gary Gygax, he's had some questionable stuff said about him. So I would definitely, even you, Elon, you might want to not pursue that. But if you buy the company Hasbro, listen, man, give us them Transformers we wanted. Give us some movies we want. Take out all the, what is this, take out all the stuff where I have to be bombarded with stuff that I didn't come to see the movie to be bombarded with. Let me put it that way. I just want to see some action, see a good story, and that's all that matters. All right? That's it. All right. If you don't like this video, I don't care, because I like the video, and the alcohol's kicking in. This is Super Robot Head bringing more news reviews today. We'll see you soon, and I probably went too long. Bye-bye.